Hi guys, I'm certainly not the best at theorizing or putting clues together, so to speak. So more than likely, all of the things I say in this video will turn out to be very false and meaningless by Volume 4. This video will contain a lot of spoilers! If you're not completely caught up with RWBY at this point, do not watch this video. Without further ado, let's get to it. We move on to Pyrrha. My firm belief is that Pyrrha is dead. She is gone. My main sources of evidence, I guess if I want to cite anything, is Jen Brown's Twitter feed. Jen Brown is Pyrrha's voice actress. She put out several tweets in a row talking about how she thanked Monty and Rooster Teeth for giving her the role of Pyrrha, things like that, and it really made it seem like Pyrrha is very much dead. Some people were asking why Cinder let Jaune and Pyrrha get away when she killed Amber down in the vault beneath Beacon. I believe Cinder let them get away because had a pretty good idea that she could somehow defeat Ozpin, go to the top of the tower, and Pyrrha would come back to fight her because she just got the feeling that Pyrrha was that type of person. And additionally, Cinder and Pyrrha's fight, Cinder was just toying with Pyrrha the entire time. You see the type of power she uses when she's fighting Ozpin, and that stuff is a type of unimaginable power that Ozpin and Crow talked about when they first introduced the Maidens. But if you compare that to the power she's using while fighting Pyrrha, it's basically nothing. It could just be like someone using a weapon or a semblance. And so Cinder was toying with Pyrrha the entire time. She could have easily killed her right away, but of course Rooster Teeth wanted to give fans the fleeting hope that Pyrrha would survive. Cinder wanted to kill Pyrrha. She had no morality when it came to that. She knew if Pyrrha was going to come back up and put up a fight, then Cinder was just going to kill her. She was expendable. So also, if you watch my reaction video, I was very much in denial that it happened. Even after Pyrrha kind of broke apart and disintegrated into the orange dust that kind of just flew into the air. Also, the sound she made when she was dying, like her dying breaths, those were very telling that she was actually quite dying. Pyrrha's character references Achilles from Greek mythology, and the way the character Achilles died was by damaging his Achilles heel. That's why Rooster Teeth included the detail of Cinder firing the arrow which hit Pyrrha's Achilles heel, because that was the way she died pretty much. And additionally, one last thing that I use to say that Pyrrha is very much dead is the comparison of how she died to her actual symbol or character crest. Her symbol was basically the shield with an arrow going through it, or a spear, and that very much resembles the way Cinder's arrow went around Pyrrha's shield and then hit her again. I think that detail, though it might not have been completely intentional, comparing how Pyrrha died to her symbol, I think it's an important detail. Now, one thing I want to talk about with Pyrrha is the mysterious difference between her death and the death of Marcus Black. Marcus Black was Mercury's father, whom he killed on the day he met Cinder and Emerald. When you watch the flashback with Cinder, Em, and Merc, Marcus's body does not disintegrate. He's a dead body lying on the ground. He doesn't disintegrate into glowing dust that flies through the air. However, Pyrrha does. So this gives some important and interesting insight into the nature of Cinder and most likely Salem's powers and abilities. Why did being shot with that arrow cause Pyrrha to dissolve into the glowing dust, but the way Mercury killed Marcus, that didn't happen. Marcus was just a dead body. I think that's important. This difference in deaths leads me to believe that Pyrrha's story arc and details about her are definitely not over. The way she died could have something to do with Salem and where Salem is. Additionally, the red and black portals that we've been seeing since the opening of Season 1, or Volume 1, whatever you want to call it. There's no guarantee she won't return as some type of villain or apparition, something like that. The way Jen spoke on her Twitter feed made her sound like she definitely would not have the same voice if she appeared that way. I'm kind of doubtful that she'd appear as some type of villain, but what I do know for sure is that parts of her story are definitely not over. Now I'm going to move on to RWBY, Jaune, Nora, and Ren. Lots of people call them Team Ranger. I'm not putting any official names to that grouping yet. So first I'm going to regard RWBY. Obviously, she is mourning Pyrrha, along with Jaune, Nora, and Ren are also mourning her. I think Volume 4 is going to focus a significant amount on how that whole group of 4 is reacting, how they support each other, just the aftermath of Pyrrha's death in general. RWBY, she saw Pyrrha die, she saw the whole thing. I just think that the whole scenario of the Battle of Beacon and Pyrrha's death is going to cause her to have some type of nightmare. RWBY will not get over Pyrrha's death so easily. Just there's going to be a recurring thing that keeps stimulating emotion and making her just generally very upset and things like that about Pyrrha. What was RWBY and Pyrrha's relationship like? Now, we don't get a lot of relationship between Pyrrha and anyone else besides Jaune, and I'm going to talk about that in a Volume 3 review video I will be doing soon. But I think if RWBY talks with her friends to try to get through Pyrrha's death and mourn her, we might get some insight onto how those two interacted together. What about RWBY's silver eyes? She somewhat unlocked her silver eye power when she saw Pyrrha die, and I think if she's going on this journey with Jaune, Ren, and Nora, she will most likely not have access to those who can really help her enhance her ability, kind of build up her ability to use her silver eye power. So RWBY will definitely continue to ask questions about this power, but I do not think there will be much development in this area unless background information is given about Summer, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Additionally, we know Crow is following them, but if he is hiding in his Crow form, which I'm also going to talk about later, then I don't think he's really going to be there to help her develop that power. So next I'm going to talk about Jaune. I think out of anyone who's going to mourn Pyrrha, he is mourning Pyrrha the most. He definitely blames himself. He told Pyrrha not to go back up to fight Cinder, but once she kissed him, he didn't give up much of a fight. She just ignored his pleas and sent him away. I think he definitely blames himself in some aspect for not preventing her, for not guarding the aura transfer as Ozpin told him to do. I think he'll be looking to RWBY for friendship and comfort, even though his two teammates, Ren and Nora, have actually been on his team. One of his first friends was pretty much RWBY, and they've supported each other for a long time. I seriously doubt any romance between them will develop, especially at a time so recently after Pyrrha's death. So what about Jaune's aura and semblance? I see two options at this point in time. Jaune could either find his semblance with the help of RWBY during this volume, or it will happen way much further down the line at a very unexpected time. For example, RWBY discovered her silver eye power at a time she didn't expect it. She was like, her emotions were heightened. Her emotional response to seeing Pyrrha die was more extreme than anything she's ever experienced. Perhaps Jaune will discover his semblance in a similar way. At this point, I expect his semblance to be defensive in nature, possibly something related to what we saw happen in the Forest of Forever Fall when Cardan went to punch him and then suddenly Jaune glowed and deflected any damage away. Pyrrha stated that Jaune has a lot of aura, so at some point I expect him to become a very powerful character. With a more powerful aura, I assume comes a more powerful semblance, as semblance is directly linked to aura. His power won't be close to that of a maiden or RWBY's silver eye power, but I do expect it to become very powerful in its own way. Finally, in this group is Nora and Ren. I'm expecting a large amount of character development for them this volume. It's been teased several times, from Juniper's almost mission to the village outside Vale, also to Nora's seemingly unimportant rant in the first episode of Volume 3, where she states that they are orphans and have no parents or home to go to. On the journey to Haven, which is in Mistral, I expect Nora and Ren to visit the village that is previously mentioned, the one they meant to go on their mission. Character development and backstory would occur here if they are to go there. I assume they will go there, or at least mention and talk about it at some point, so I expect lots of character development and backstory to happen in this way.